Coming to you live from the Now Media Newsroom.
I'm Jim Tech. You're watching Now Media. With me, Alexander Norman, the general manager at Nortrans Freight Management, a Kelowna-based company that's kind of looking at like modernizing or even like looking for better ways to get the fleet out there to reduce their costs on I guess transportation and looking at cleaner energy.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, so you guys have just launched a natural gas truck fleet there. You're kind of like delving into the natural gas to get to see if that's a better solution. Tell us a little bit about why you're doing natural gas and what the benefits are.
Yeah, the big I guess the turning point for us is Cummins, who's the engine supplier. They're finally making an engine it's a big bore engine with enough power to haul the loads that we need to haul in the interior of BC. So loads of forest products, loads of steel and aluminum, heavy industrial goods. We're finally at a place technologically where natural gas has the power to actually pull those loads. So the trucks, the logging trucks and the lumber trucks you see on the highways around Kelowna and the Okanagan, for many years we just didn't quite have the power to haul those weights with alternative fuels. But we're in a position now because of this Cummins engine. It's called the X15N, where we've actually got the power to do it. So it's more so technology that's pushed us to the point where we're able to do it. And then also a fantastic funding program through the Natural Resources Canada. It's called the Green Freight Program. So that's helped make this program feasible as well.
Yeah, because there hasn't been widespread adoption even in pickup trucks because there's a little bit of power loss, right? And when you even convert like a gas engine or whatever to natural gas, there's a little bit of power loss. And you're saying now this bigger engine actually compensates for that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like natural gas, you could see for many years, someone living in Kelowna would see their E360 truck running around town. So refuse trucks would be able to use natural gas, but they haul much lighter weights. Another thing as well is, they can get back to their depot very quickly to refuel at night. Long haul, heavy duty trucking, it was a lot harder. We didn't have the power. The infrastructure was also developing as well. So just having fueling stations strategically placed around the province, hubs like Prince George, Kamloops, Kelowna, Vancouver. But the infrastructure is developing very quickly through Fortis and a couple of other providers. And then, like I said, the power there is there as well. So it's we feel it's time where we can start to convert our fleet. We'll probably convert about 10% of our fleet this year to natural gas. And I'd go as far as to say there will be very few new diesel trucks, if any, ordered in our future. If this technology performs the way we're seeing it perform, we'll just continue to order natural gas in a big way.
You guys have tested out a few things though, right? I see you have a hydrogen truck in your fleet, and you've also tried some electric stuff, and now natural gas. Is that kind of where you're going to put kind of your focus is in the natural gas stuff?
Yeah, we've kind of been at the buffet over the past few years testing different alternative fuels. I would say, honestly, they all serve a purpose. So depending on what your use case is, depending on what you're hauling and where you're hauling, there is a need for them all and there's a use for them all. For us as a company, just with the territory we haul in, mountainous terrain, often 500 kilometers plus in a day, and the weights, like I said, the weights we haul and the product we haul, natural gas is a great solution for us that's available now and it's here now. In the future, I can see us using more hydrogen and battery electric vehicles. But at the moment, I think the winner today is natural gas, and I can see us sprinkling in those other technologies in the future.
So what's the cost per kilometer for natural gas versus, like, say, a diesel?
Yeah, that's a great question. The savings really come from the cost of fuel. So natural gas at the moment is a much cheaper fuel than diesel. I think what's even more of a benefit than the cost is the volatility we've seen with diesel. Right. It's really tough to run a trucking company, and exactly. Especially
you wake up in the morning, there's this going on, next thing you know, just like 15 cents. You got to be kidding me, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think like the geopolitical climate right now with everything, happening in Russia and some of the uncertainties there. So for many years, I think we enjoyed an environment where the price of diesel was pretty stable. So it was easy enough to run a trucking company and base our pricing off of stable diesel pricing. it hasn't been like that for many years. So the great thing about natural gas is it's not nearly as volatile. We don't see the swings that we see with diesel. So we're able to just set a price with our customers, a fair price that we can all rely on and count on, and we're not constantly having to renegotiate or go back to the table to set new pricing. It also just removes the kind of some of the opaqueness that comes along with fuel surcharges in the industry. So it's just easier to set a clear, fair price and then stick to that price.
And what about like diesel? One of the big benefits of a diesel truck that, dependability, that the trucks run forever kind of thing. What about natural gas? How does that compare when you're talking about repairs, maintenance, and longevity of the engine?
Yeah, our fleet manager, who's a Red Seal tech, is probably better to speak to that than me. What I will say is the trucks, there's no concerns with how long the trucks will run. There's been certain fleets, particularly Vetter Transport, who transports milk from the interior down to the coast. They've experimented with natural gas, and I think they have some trucks in their fleet between 10 and 20 years old, which is pretty incredible. So longevity, I would say there's even more longevity than a diesel truck. There are some slightly higher repair costs, but nothing material or nothing of note really.
Yeah, the infrastructure, I guess, is the biggest issue right now, right? Because I mean, diesel, you find diesel stations everywhere. Like there's like when you go to like you're going down the Lower Mainland, that there's a big fast gas, and I think one on the other side of the highway. Are those places to put in natural gas now? Because those are big truck stops, right?
Yeah, they're not. The infrastructure is really being built by two main players at this point. So FortisBC, which we all know and deal with on a day-to-day basis, whether it's your natural gas or your electricity or both. And then the other company is Clean Energy, they're called. So Clean Energy is huge in California at the moment, supporting natural gas infrastructure in California. And they're recently just starting to see what's happening in BC and in Western Canada, and they're expanding across Western Canada. So they are building a commercial truck card lock system across Western Canada with stations in Edmonton, Calgary, Kamloops, Prince George. They're trying to create this hub or this network, which I think will be really complemented by Fortis as well. So I think transport providers like ourselves will have to work with both companies to really kind of develop the proper networks. But yeah, both are coming to the table and have been great partners to work with.
I drive an electric. I drive a Tesla. I've been for a couple of years, which is great. But some of the problems with battery electric, especially for big trucks, is the recharge time. And then what is that like when you go to fill up? Like you fill diesel, it's pretty straightforward. What does that look like when you do natural gas? Is it similar?
Yeah, it is. The process doesn't really take any longer than filling a diesel truck. It's basically hooking up the natural gas line to the truck, and then it fills the different natural gas tanks with compressed natural gas. So you do need a compressor on site. I would say from the trucking company's perspective, we're not having to wait any longer. There's no issues with safety or reliability of the station. So for us, it's kind of 6 1 half a dozen. It doesn't really matter too much whether we're filling with diesel or we're filling with natural gas. They both take about the same amount of time.
So are they self-serve too? Like, most of the diesel pumps, the guy pulls up and he fills his own trucks. Is that the same for the natural gas ones too? Or is there an attendant that comes out?
Same thing. It's our Class 1 drivers have fleet cards. They pull up to the commercial pump and they basically can tap their fleet card or put in a pin, and then it's self-serve. So they just fill up. So it's a pretty seamless process, really. It's quite frictionless.
And then you guys are advertising that this is one of the first heavy-duty natural gas trucks, and I take it that's with the Cummins X15 engine, then, right? That's kind of the difference, right? Because there are other natural gas people that have been running natural gas for a while.
Yeah, for sure. So the big difference maker here is the Cummins X15. Another piece that is paired with that is it's called the transmission. So it's an 18-speed transmission, and like I said, it's the power of the X15 paired with the 18-speed transmission really allows us to haul heavy-duty weights, so up to about 140,000 pounds total, about 90,000 pounds of weight on the trailer. So that really gets us to the point where we can do full Super B, which is the trailer configuration, full Super B loads of lumber, for example, or product like steel and aluminum. If you're another provider, you might haul milk or wood chips or whatever it is, but it allows us to get to that full weight which in BC is really critical.
And what about performance, like power pulling up a hill and stuff like that? Diesels typically have been known for just like being able to pull pretty strong. Is that the same for the Cummins engine here, this X15?
Yeah, it is. Like we've had the truck on the road for about 4 months now. I think we were all very curious to see if the brochure really lived up to what it was touting, and I think the fact is yes, it is. There may be a very 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 slight decrease in performance, particularly with the engine brake on the downhill, or maybe a bit of power. For example, a driver who completed a one day round trip route in a diesel truck using the natural gas truck may take him 10 to 15 minutes longer. So it's pretty immaterial. Yeah.
So I guess obviously you get a cleaner out the tailpipe for sure, cleaner emissions that are going out. So that's a huge benefit as well. But I guess what's the cost of this Cummins versus like a diesel truck when you're going to put capital out there when you're putting a new truck into service? Obviously that cost comes into play for other companies that are looking right now too.
Yeah. Depends. It depends if you're looking to buy a used diesel truck or a brand new diesel truck. I think apples to apples, if you're looking to buy a new diesel truck, it's not quite double, but it's pretty darn close. So it is. Yeah, exactly. It's a big capital investment. What really helps make these viable is there are some grants and subsidies out there being offered. So there's, like I said, the Green Freight Program with Natural Resources Canada, and there's a number of others out there as well. So when you take advantage of the different grants and put them together, it does make it quite cost effective. It just takes a little bit of legwork up front, I think, to make sure you apply for the grants and the different subsidies and then utilize them to their full advantage.
So these are basically the same truck, I'm taking it, other than the engine and transmission. Other than that, it's basically the same. Like when your mechanics are working on these trucks, it's likely the same, everything else?
Pretty much, yeah. Most of the mechanics these days are being trained to work on diesel, natural gas, soon to be hydrogen as well. So there's some kind of interoperability between the two and cross training across all of the different platforms. So there's not a huge, I think there's some certifications that the dealerships have to go through and from a safety perspective to work on gas trucks. But from what I understand, actually work on the engine and the transmission itself, it's not all that different. And to anybody, any road user, the trucks would look almost identical. You wouldn't really be able to tell the difference.
So the electric truck, is that still in your fleet, or is that something you tested and then kind of are putting aside for right now?
Yeah, we did about a 3 to 4 month trial with Tulco, so big forestry company in the Vernon Armstrong area. That trial was more of a data gathering project. We are looking at making that a full-time endeavor. So we're currently in the stage of just basically making sure there's a business case to do it. And again, looking at what grants and subsidies are available to help with that project. I think the hope is that becomes a full-time daily route with a battery electric truck. But at the moment, that's more of a trial.
You got your name in for a Tesla truck?
Yeah, not yet. I've yet to see one. I've seen a couple of Frito-Lay trucks in California, but apart from that, I haven't seen anything in BC.
I mean, the stuff I've watched on it, they Frito-Lay and Pepsi are saying they want more. So I don't know. They're supposedly going into production this year, instead of just their trials. So
yeah, if that pushes the industry forward and that sets the standard for what battery electric trucks can do, I'm all for it, and I'd love to have one.
Yeah, supposedly. I mean, I drive, like I said, an electric car, and I've driven for 2 years. And the cool thing about those things is zero maintenance, right? Like there's absolutely nothing, right? So that is still with your natural gas truck, it's basically the same thing, just running on a different fuel, right?
Totally. Yeah. The to reiterate what you said, the beauty with battery electric over natural gas is just the number of moving parts in a battery electric vehicle is so much less than in a diesel truck that, to your point, it's almost zero maintenance. We still have to do maintenance on the natural gas truck, much like you would on a diesel. So battery electric's a great solution. If we can solve the range issue on big trucks, and we can still haul the same amount of payload, the same amount of product, then it's a really great solution.
And the recharge time, I know I've seen some stuff too now. They're pushing out I can't remember now, like it's 500 kilowatts or something like that. The charge times are quite fast now too, right? So
yeah,
That'll make a huge difference, right?
Huge. Yeah. And that's partly what can make these projects possible that we're looking at is even the battery electric technology is getting so much better that, to your point, you get into 400 to 500 kilowatt hour chargers, your recharge time is cut in half, or even megawatt chargers, and then your recharge time is incredibly quick. So it starts to make those projects make sense.
And then you also tried hydrogen. Is that one still in the fleet, or is that one a test as well?
That was a test as well. So that was in partnership with a company based in the Vancouver area called H-Tech, which is HTEC. They are building a fleet of hydrogen trucks that they're basically leasing out to different fleet operators like ourselves. And then they're providing the maintenance on the trucks as well as the fueling infrastructure. So, I believe there's been some setbacks on the hydrogen front with a couple of fairly prominent hydrogen truck companies having financial difficulties. So there have been some setbacks there. I don't know too much about their progress as a company, but it's definitely something we have on our radar. And I know they're actively building the infrastructure in the Lower Mainland.
That's the bigger problem for sure is the infrastructure. We see that in Kelowna too, and we're like even if you talk about the cars, like the I think the BZ4 or something at Toyota, just getting the infrastructure. Like one of the things Tesla did really well with the electric was they built the supercharger network, which almost all automakers have now adopted. Right, that is the key in these alternative fuels. I think is getting an infrastructure built out. Right, obviously that's key to what you guys do. So I guess the question is, this is a family business, and your dad is, started the business, I understand. And who's the driver between like this technology first kind of look when you guys are like going into these? Is that you pushing for that, or is that your dad still?
Yeah, it is me. He has been. I'm lucky. He's been incredibly supportive of me pushing for this, I guess. And, it's up to me to make sure that it makes business sense for us. But what we're finding, particularly with natural gas and some of the battery electric projects we've been looking at, is it makes business sense, but it makes sense from a sustainability perspective as well. So I'm driving it, but he's been incredibly supportive, and lucky to work with somebody like him and learn from somebody like him too.
Obviously, the big thing for you guys is cost per kilometer, and then just that replacement of capital, right? I mean, those are the big drivers, right? And then obviously, I guess for some people that when you're shipping their goods, they like to know that it's being shipped with, cleaner energy as well. I guess that's part of that as well. When you're winning bids, right? Because a lot of times you win a bid or a contract that lasts years and years and years, right?
Absolutely, and it depends on the partner, right? But I think that's something we've tried to hold at our core over the years that Nortrans has been in operation the past 33 years is building the right partnerships and building partnerships with people that care about the same things as you. So, I mean, one case that I'll mention very quickly is the whole Gorman Brothers group based in West Kelowna. They're a fantastic, long time partner of ours. And when we brought this to them and said, this is something we're looking at, this is important to them as well. So aligning yourself with people who share the same goals as you and the same values as you, it makes this a lot easier.
Well, I do thank you for your time, and we love highlighting local businesses such as yours, and that's great that you guys are out there pushing the envelope and trying out the new technologies. And if you do get a Tesla truck, we want to come with you on the first ride. How's that?
Sounds good. Okay, you've got a deal.
Anything else you want to share before we sign off here?
No, I don't think so. Thanks very much for having me today. It's always a privilege to talk about natural gas and the work we're doing. And have a great weekend.
You too as well. Enjoy the weekend. Looks like a beautiful one. All right. And thank you for watching Now Media.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.